Hello everybody, I am Conquering History Games, and welcome to Kaiserreich Progress Report number 131 on World Tension. Because of the subject matter, we will be listening to some cyberpunk music in the background today. Let me just turn it down a little bit though. So, today's progress report is written by FlameFang92, the one and only Kaiserreich developer, lead Kaiserreich developer. That's not to say he's the only one developing China and Japan, but we know that he does excellent work. Thank you very much to you, FlameFang92, and everybody else on the team for the great stuff that you do. We're just gonna jump right into it, audiobook style again, because people like it, so we're gonna be doing that in 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, we've already spoken some about our upcoming release, which is now mere hours away, but we'd like to provide some more information about what to expect. Alongside a very large number of changes to and fixes for nearly every country, this release will include 2 fundamental reworks to the way Kaiserreich plays. The Advisor rework. The first and most significant is the Advisor rework, which we've already discussed in some detail in the last report. Though our release in January added compatibility for no step-backs Advisor mechanics, patch 0.21 represents their full integration. On our end, that has meant researching, adding, and reevaluating tens of thousands of historical figures and tying them into existing content. In many cases, adding new content and mechanics structured with them in mind. Each and every tag will now play somewhat differently. The World Tension rework. The second major rework, which is the focus of this report, relates to World Tension, something that's technically been in Kaiserreich for years, but which has played no meaningful role. As developers, we've long considered it a mechanic with limited relevance to the way Kaiserreich, with its branching regional conflicts, plays out. We've since moved away from that mindset, and Kaiserreich will now feature our own take on Vanilla's World Tension. For anyone who hasn't played Vanilla in a while, World Tension is a variable that rises whenever tags behave aggressively. The more tension rises, the more options democratic countries get to counter that aggression, and the more war support rises globally. As said, this mechanic was more or less disabled for years outside of a few scripted increases with no meaningful impact. Now, in preparation for the Internationale Germany-Russia Rework group, we've reintegrated World Tension as a determinant for the Weltkrieg's start, something previously time-gated behind September 1939, when the historical Second World War broke out in Europe. In other words, the war's start date was mostly arbitrary and outside player control until that date was passed. World Tension in 0.21. In 0.21, all foci and decisions that can directly initiate the Weltkrieg will require World Tension to be 75% or higher. For that to work, we've completely redone and filled out the curve of scripted tension increases, so that the unavoidable increases, for example, Russia, the American Civil War, the Spanish Civil War, the League collapse, etc., gradually bring world tension up to the 75% required to begin the war. However, there are also actions countries can take to minorly affect the path to and timing of the war. In general, actions that strengthen Germany or the Entente reduce tension. Actions taken by revisionists or revolutionary powers like Russia, the Commune of France, and the Union of Britain increase tension. Russia is currently the biggest driver of tension increases, and that's likely to be even truer in its upcoming rework. Consequently, Germany and its Reichspakt allies can attempt to delay the beginning of the Weltkrieg to better prepare, while the powers' raid against them can push for a more immediate war in order to press their post-Black Monday advantage. Beyond the great powers of Europe, certain other actions will be gated behind world tension, notably Japan's aggression. Other examples include some countries' faction joining, specific war-related foci, and decisions, as well as other content. Here are a few examples. Occupying the neutral zone in the legation cities. Taking down Germany in the Commune of France. Crush the German hegemony from Russia. And rejoin the Entente from Greece. Of course, content isn't gated behind world tension where it doesn't make sense for it to be. China's wars of unification, for example, can take place mostly as they did before. The Second American Civil War, despite being a major driver of world tension, will still break out as normal. Goals. The intent behind this rework has been to better tie together current and future content related to the Weltkrieg with 3 main goals. Number 1, to make it develop more naturally and with greater clarity for all countries involved. Number 2, to ensure both core and peripheral participants in the Weltkrieg feel they have some agency and control over that development. And number 3, to make most countries experience at least some consequences of major world events, mitigating the island effect many regions currently experience. After tomorrow, we hope you'll feel we've met those goals. As we move forward with future releases, expect to see these mechanics increasingly integrated. As hinted at above, as much as this is a major release on its own, the World Tension rework is also building the foundations for a group of interrelated and very exciting reworks to Russia, Germany, and the Internationale. In conclusion, this progress report only addresses the 2 biggest changes coming with 0.21. Alongside them will be hundreds of other changes and various pieces of added content across the entire mod. From fully reworked League War mechanics, to various new focus trees, to several newly reworked / expanded trees. That's Sardinia. In total, there will be almost 29 pages of other changes at single-spaced 12-point font. See you at the release. And that's it. So, you know, obviously a big release that actually came out a few days ago. Now, I personally have not played this one yet because I'm trying to stay on the old version of Kaiserreich for a members-only series that I'm doing. But I think there's some really interesting stuff here. One of the things that I'm noticing here that I'm really excited about is you have stuff like here, United States of Greater Austria joins the Reichspakt. Functionally, that's something they already do, even if they still say they're in the Danubian Federation. It's nice that they're going to maybe formally join the pact. But right here, Hyderabad joining the co-prosperity sphere, stuff like that. Mucho gusto. So looking for, you know, because I sometimes feel that India outside of Delhi often does not get involved enough in the global war, and it could be such a crucial swing country. I've said for years that if you're playing as the Entente, it behooves you to aid Delhi in unifying India ASAP, because you're just going to get that enormous recruitable population available to you. And then, you know, once as you're coring more things, the factories ain't too bad either. Yeah, I think it's going to be good stuff here. I was also noticing though that like there's this tension increase. Village of Elfringen shelled by the Commune of France in January 1940. So that of course would be later than when the Second Weltkrieg typically starts. So that tells me that France can, I'm guessing that it's France that does this. France can trigger events, like basically try to create international instances to provoke the war, beyond just like, oh, I'm demanding, you know, Alsace-Lorraine back or whatever. Of course, that's very important too, but it's funny because it was saying how like a lot of this is about the agency, and I'm sure that Germany, well, like we have examples here. Wait, no, not there. Or I guess like yeah, like right here, the minus 1.9%. Like Germany is going to have things that can try to reduce the tension, but of course this is a game that is based around a world war breaking out. So I'm sure that the antagonistic world tension stuff is always going to be more than France's. So whereas before when you were playing as Germany, maybe you always know, okay, yeah, no, September 1939, let's rock and roll. But now it's like you're going to be trying to run away from the train that's going to run you over. So you're playing again, you know, you're fighting against time, trying to delay the inevitable. And I think that could add a really interesting tension element, because that's why they call it world tension, to the game. So I think this is pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to what is going to be built upon it. Anyway, I'm Conquering History Games. Thank you very much for joining me. And oh yeah, League War, you better believe I am looking forward to this. But I'll see you in the next video. Bye.